Continue conversation. We're having a chat about a construction training seminar that's happening courtesy the Land Settlement Agency. This morning, I want to welcome Manager of Infrastructure Development Unit at the Land Settlement Agency, Satchidanand Bassaw, as well as Director of the T&T Contractors Association, Ramoutar. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start with the Land Settlement Agency. Tell me, what is the remit of the agency? What's the purpose of the agency?
All right, so morning. So the Land Settlement Agency was established as a body corporate under the State Land Regularization of Tenure Act 1998. It's basically to protect certain squatters from ejectment from state lands. It's also to facilitate the acquisition of leasehold titles by both squatters and the tenants in designated areas, and also to provide for the establishment of land settlement areas. So under the Land Settlement Agency, we have about 7 different programs that we manage. We also have 2 programs that is managed by the Land Settlement Agency on behalf of other agencies, other ministries. So some of our programs would be the regularization of squatters, especially in these designated areas, where we develop the physical infrastructure that will facilitate the leasehold or the granting of titles to persons occupying these sites. So so a part of that program, because we are so involved in the infrastructure development of these sites, you find that we are liaising directly with small and medium contractors, and we found that there is a need to develop the pool of these contractors, the skill set of these contractors, to enable them now to develop and also to assist the LSA in further developing our to achieve our mandate and to develop these sites.
So I just want to make sure we're on the same page here, right? So the LSA was formed basically to regularize squatters.
That's correct.
And to put proper infrastructure where people are already squatting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. All right, so we have a problem with the contractors, where they're not as efficient as you would like, or is it that the quality is...
Well, what we found is that the quality of the contractors, these are small to medium contractors. So we find that the skill set is not as where it should be. So we need to develop the skill set of the contractors, both at the human and at the technical side, and to give them the tools that they require to grow. And if they grow now as contractors, then the LSA now would also continue to grow.
But then you got to find new contractors, because if they grow to large, then you have to find new small and medium.
Well, we need to develop these contractors. So we're going to bring these contractors and we're going to develop them and we're going to throw them out. So they're going to work for us, they're going to develop for us, and then let them grow and let them go elsewhere and let them continue working.
All right. So this is now where the T&T Contractors Association comes in.
That's right.
I mean, how do you feel about the claim that the medium and small contractors, they're all right?
Well, everybody starts somewhere, right? And with the Contractors Association, one of our slogans is one industry, one voice.
Right.
And so when LSA reached out to us, we thought of this as a really excellent opportunity to help build capacity within the industry.
How have the contractors responded to it so far?
If Mr. Bassaw to it.
So it's a very favorable response. We're already at capacity in terms of the training that we are hosting this Saturday. And over the weekend, we had, I would say, about 80% of the spots occupied already.
Nice. All right, so the training is happening from this weekend?
The training is happening on Saturday. It's from 9 to 3. It's being held at the Dagger Hall at the University of the West Indies. Registration is through our website. And on our social media platform, you'll see the information how the registration.
And is it for people who own contracting companies only, or can individual mason or individual people?
Well, we're trying to bring in the contractors, the small contractors, into the pool so that they could develop their workforce and their skill set. We would, in the future, have further training, and those will be specialized to specific areas, targeted audiences in certain communities. So right now, we're looking to train just the small to medium contractors.
All right, so what are some of the things that are going to happen inside that training session?
Okay, so we focusing on 3 specific items, which is basically like concrete and masonry, structural steel, and also some cost control and some construction management, because we feel that those are the basic things that a contractor needs to develop themselves. So cost control, construction management, it might seem, it's just costing, it's not technical, but everything is tied together. And that's why we need to bring these 3 so that we'll have the synergy. The contractors will have a
Now, forgive me, right? I'm not too much into construction and things, so I don't know some of the words but I've read a very interesting sentence in the brief here. It said, construction costing and the utilization of false work to achieve the maximum output. Is that something that we want? or something
Well,
we don't want?
Well, that's what we want. When we talk about fault, so we're really talking about formwork. So we want the contractors to understand how they could utilize the different methods and the materials to maximize the output. So you might find contractors might use formwork or false work, as we may call it, and they might use it once and they might not store it properly. They might just leave it out in the rain. It will get wet. They wouldn't get any reuse out of it. So we want them to maximize the usage out of. So we want them to maximize, as I mentioned, the material usage.
Yeah. And, Lisa, what would you say are some of the challenges that these small and medium contractors would be facing that would cause some of these things to be not as where we would like them to be?
Right. So because the program is community-based, the contractors themselves may not have gone through any formal training as you would have the larger contractors. They may not have had the technical expertise. Some of them might have some exposure. And I think what they need is a bit of a guidance to give them ideas of best practices, ideas where they can help improve their efficiencies, and then they can grow from there.
All right, so we look forward to seeing how that growth is going to take place. So you said people can register by going on the website. Give them the website, please.
Right, so the website is the landsettlementagency.com. And from there, I think we'll have to put that website up
on the screen, yeah. So it's landsettlementagency.com or .gov? .gov.tt. All right, landsettlementagency.gov.tt. And I understand that there needs to be a synergy between the engineering design, the construction, the quality of the construction, and then the cost control. And that's what we're really trying to find a synergy between, yeah?
So I think the training really is a basic training that we're going to be holding on Saturday, just to give the contractors, just to let them be aware of what we want out of construction in terms of the concrete and the masonry, the structural steel, proper connections, especially because a lot of the work that we are doing. So we have programs with infrastructure development where we do drains, roads, water reticulation. We also have a housing program that we are implementing at the Land Settlement Agency, which is the Housing and Village Improvement Program. And that program is really where we have these small to medium contractors coming in. So these are the contractors that we really want to train. So you find there's a deficiency in those contractors, especially like some of the specialized areas. So they may not be specialized in steelwork.
Right.
So with rafters and things, you want, we use structural steel rafters. We want them to have the proper understanding of the connections, what welding entails, what type of weld, strength of the weld, how the connection has to be done, what is the reason for having those proper connections. We're talking about also we have to design for hurricanes.
Well, this is the next thing I was going to ask about, because, I mean, if you're taking people who are already squatting, right, how do we determine if this is even good land to be on in case of any natural disasters or anything like that?
Okay, so persons who are occupying lands that, so it's designated areas, so it's not all areas. You can't just
it's not anywhere squatting you can get
It's not anywhere as squatting.
That's the part I was concerned with, to be honest. But, right, go ahead.
We're not going to squat, we're not going to develop land anywhere.
Right.
So it has to be on designated areas. There's a level of engineering that has to take place before we go to regularize the squatters. Engineering design, so the engineers will come in, the land use planners will come in. We will ensure that these minimum standards are met for the local statutory agencies, town, country planning division. Their standards are met. We liaise through the drainage division, Ministry of Works. WASA is involved, Trinidad Bigger Fire Service. So all these agencies, we get their approval so that we could now go ahead and develop this land.
All right.
But the HVIP, the Housing and Village Improvement Program that we are doing, these are targeted to villages that you find their infrastructure is really lacking.
Right.
So we look at these villages, which is not really part of our designated land settlement areas. So we look at these villages, we look at the housing stock that exists. We develop houses based on the condition that they are, and in so doing, it relieves the pressure on the HCC, because we are also working to provide basic starter homes to persons living in villages. So it's a village-type program.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that people can head across to the landsettlementagency.gov.tt and get more information about how they can be a part of it, or how they can be a part of the training session happening this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lisa Ramoutar, Director of the Contractors Association and Manager, Infrastructure Development Unit at the Land Settlement Agency, Satchidanand Bassaw. Thank you very much for joining me. Do enjoy the rest of your day.